All right, hey everybody! It's the second episode of the Codex Comics podcast. I'm Michael,
This is Nick.
and today we're just gonna talk about some different titles that came out today and anything else in the comic world we think need. I want to send it over to Nick and just talk about Venomverse. I started today. We led in with Edge to Venomverse. So, what's going on with that since the first issue came out today?
Alright, so basically what has happened here is Venom is seen fighting Jack-O-Lantern of all people on the cities of New York. And basically he gets sent into this alternate universe called Venomverse, which is basically all the heroes are turned into different Venoms. And basically the world is controlled by Poison, which, if you know who Poison is, he came from the storyline Evolve or Die from Amazing Spider-Man. But basically, he has control of most of the world's heroes. There is a small group of heroes that do still control themselves. Basically, they recruited Venom to help them fight Poison. And basically, pretty much that's what's going to happen this issue. Venom tries to work with the team and try and figure out some stuff. But we won't really know what happens until next issue, honestly. I'll switch back to Mike as we talk about the new Star Wars Darth Vader.
All right. So this Star Wars Darth Vader run, it's really interesting because they ended the first Darth Vader series, and then not too long later, they're like, we're going to start Darth Vader again with issue 1, which Marvel is known to do. But this time with Darth Vader, it made sense because they were going to a different time period. And I think I think I've read up to where it is now, issue 5. Issue 5 came out today. And it's a really great story and adds to the lore of the dark side itself and how the lightsabers are made and how Darth Vader got his red lightsaber and how I guess every Sith gets their red kyber crystal, since it's been canonically changed that the crystals aren't synthetic and that the dark side users make them out of regular Jedi crystals. Yeah, I mean it's a really fun read just to watch Darth Vader fight a Jedi. I'm interested to see where the series goes after this, sticking with the time period between episodes 3 and 4. Nick, do you have anything to say about this?
Well, I found it kind of interesting how exactly he got his kyber crystal and corrupted a Jedi's kyber crystal. But honestly, I have nothing to add. Basically, Mike here covered most of it. But the next storyline that is coming down the pipe for Darth Vader is we see the cover of him. We see like a helmet of sorts, and in the background you can see the Inquisitor's lightsaber. So that leads me to believe that he's going to meet the Inquisitors here for the first time and basically recruit them before Star Wars Rebels, comes around.
What exactly were the Inquisitors? I never really followed Rebels that much, so I've never really got into what that is.
Well, basically, think of like we've seen the Death Troopers and the personal, Emperor guards. These guys are more like the elite kill squad, but I think basically they're more like the Emperor's hitmen. They go out, they basically kill Jedi that are left, and they do specific tasks regarding Jedi and like stopping, open rebellion. They don't really do much else that I can think of. I don't know, they just kind of do their own thing.
Right, so let's jump into Batman number 3 came out today, and so they've been doing the War of the Jokes and Riddle storyline for the last, I don't remember how many issues. So, where are we now? What's going on, and what happens in this issue, I guess?
All right, for those who are confused with this storyline, I'll start out with this. Basically, it's basically focusing on two people here. It's focusing on Batman, the villains, and a guy who's called Kite Man, this new villain that's a little goofy for my taste, but basically it gives you the point of view of civilian point of view to this story. But basically, in this issue, Batman allies himself with the Riddler because he finds the lesser of two evils, unfortunately, is the Riddler. Joker is just too chaotic and too crazy to even try and align with. But basically, what happens in that is it's told from Kite Man's point of view, and he he gets the crap beat out of him by Joker because I don't know, he's blindly led by Joker, but in all reality, it's part of the grand plan to stop Joker. But at the end of the issue, they arrest Kite Man for who knows what, but I don't know. It's this story is really confusing and it's got a lot of twists and turns, unfortunately. Let's go next issue, we can clear up some of this mess. I'm gonna switch it back to Mike as he talks about.
So the Justice League Rebirth story, it's been I want to say hit or miss. I mean, a lot of it's been. I guess it'll never compare to the John story from the New 52. However, it's been a fun ride from issue one. Just seeing these different like really epic storylines. So with the last couple issues, they've been doing the legacy storyline, and in the story, the Justice League kids from the future show up and meet the Justice League. Which is it's odd how some of these couples have been happening. Wonder Woman and Superman had a kid together. The Flash and Jessica Cruz. So just stuff like that's been kind of been weird for the continuity of the series because Wonder Woman and Superman are no longer together. So it's one of those things where like they don't give us that many answers about the future. But in this latest issue, we learned that the kids are going to be turning on the Justice League.
Okay, so basically at the end of the story, Cyborg's kid, Cube, that we found, basically figures out that he basically figures out that Wonder Woman is the cause of this problem, and basically the kids are going to try and stop Wonder Woman from doing what she's supposedly going to do. So probably next issue we're going to find out what happens. It's probably going to be the kids fighting Wonder Woman, and the Justice League's going to have to step in somehow. We don't really know what's going to happen until next time.
So does this align with any of the current Wonder Woman stories? I mean, I've been talking to you about it, and you've been telling me that Wonder Woman's been so cut off from everybody recently. So, like, how does that tie into the fact that, like, she's the villain for these kids or whatever? And, like, where do you think this is going to take Wonder Woman in the future? And where do you think Wonder Woman's going to go with this rebirth story?
Well, to look back from the Wonder Woman story, Wonder Woman has a lot of stuff on her plate. Like, basically, she just went through the trauma of figuring out her basically her history because it's been altered and changed so many times. But basically, too, we can see Wonder Woman is going through a lot of stress and a lot of. She feels more isolated than everyone. We can notice this in multiple titles also. But the thing is, though, she kind of keeps apart from the League. Like, I don't know, in the Wonder Woman comics, she's happy, she's compassionate. In the Justice League comics, I noticed she's kind of mellow and kind of pulled away from the Justice League. Do you have anything to add on this?
No, I mean the Wonder Woman story. I've been following it on and off here. I need to get back and read the trades. The whole every other issue switching stories kind of confused me and everything. So I need to sit down and read the trade. I'm really interested in the whole Wonder Woman's brother storyline. All right, so over to Nick. Issue 30 of Green Lanterns was also released today. And what are your thoughts on this series up to this point, this story in general, and then this issue?
All right. I do like this story. It puts the two characters, Simon and Jessica, into leadership roles that they're not very good at it, honestly. But it's kind of interesting how they teach the two original rookies, teach more rookies how to not blow their heads off by overcharging their rings with willpower. But basically, they go to fight Vodloom, who is the First Lantern, which basically wields the whole emotional spectrum in one ring. And this issue, they basically attack him. They fight, and some lanterns do lose their lives, unfortunately. But at the end, it was kind of interesting to see Simon take the reign for a minute or two. At this point, he has no ring. His ring shards are basically in his forearm at this point because Vodlum blew up his ring. But the rings from the dead or deceased lanterns, basically, they went to him, and now he has four Green Lantern rings to fight Voldem with. So I'm kind of curious how this fight is going to go down. And I'll bring it back to Mike.
Yeah, so I've been in love with the Green Lantern story since the start of Rebirth. I think Jessica and um, and Simon are really great characters, and seeing them in action together, fighting alongside each other, and watching their relationship grow from where they started to where they are now is awesome. Seeing them in leadership roles, and like seeing Jessica make the construct for the first time in the series was just an incredible feeling because you watched her struggle with it, and finally watching her overcome her fear and be able to wield a construct was just inspiring and an emotional scene. And I think that's one of the great points about the Green Lanterns series is that it really shows what the Rebirth story is about. It's about giving characters relationships again, rebuilding friendships and relationships, and watching these characters like not just be angry with each other all the time, like what Batman and Superman were in the New 52 story. I mean, watching them in the issues of Super Sons and Superman, watching Batman and Superman be friends again and joke around and everything is awesome. And I love that DC is creating these new characters that they're making us fall in love with Jessica and my personal favorite character, John Kent. And even watching like this exaggerated Batman Superman relationship between John and Damian is awesome to me.
Also, with the new characters, I do like the way they're going with these new characters and introducing them. Basically, it gives a fresh taste to DC and Marvel and all these different companies. Every time they bring in a new character, it's like you get to learn this new character and what this person can do. Like it's like bringing out a magic card for the first time, or like a hero clicks for the first time. You look at the dial, you see what they can do, and then you see what happens. But also the psychological fact is you also get inside their head and figure out what is going through their head as they're doing stuff. I'll take Jessica for example. She started out, she had an anxiety and basically she was afraid of everything. But as the Green Lantern storyline went on and as Justice League went on, she realized that she didn't have to be afraid. She was a Green Lantern. She had this tool of power basically, and she basically grew out of the fear and basically developed into a better character. Heck, she loves being a Green Lantern at this point. Do you have anything to add, Mike?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we covered everything really there with these characters. It just the series is really great. I mean, it's pretty much been like 10 out of 10 issues since the first issue. I mean, it's always been really good. There haven't been too much like really boring filler stuff. The only really filler was when they went to Gotham City to help Batman. But even that was a really cool look into how Batman deals with these lanterns. Because Batman's known not to really care for the lanterns, but him and Simon Baz's relationship um, was really awesome to see in that.
That pretty much covers the main stuff of this week. There are some other titles that came out this week, such as Walking Dead and the Generations Iron Man with Ironheart and Tony Stark Iron Man. There's All New Guardians and Spider Man number 20 of the Miles Morales story. Also, they came out today. If you missed the first printing of Dark Knight's Metal, a second printing came out for it. Um, so that's pretty much any. There's more titles, but these are like I don't know ones that we didn't get to cover. I'll bring it back to Mike.
All right, so let's just cover some like speculation stuff going on. Let's start with the Wonder Woman's brother storyline. Where do you think that's going? What kind of ramifications do you think that's going to have?
Just for the audience to know about this, the Wonder Woman brother came up during the very end of the Dark Side War, where Grell's mother was basically dying on the battlefield. Um, and now we finally get to see the light on this story that we've heard about. So basically, I think what's going to happen is Wonder Woman's going to meet her brother, and it's going to be different. Like, going to be an emotional and more, I don't know, a piece from her past she kind of lost along the way. I am curious to see what they're going to do with this. I'm curious what Wonder Woman's brother will actually become in this storyline.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this story. I think this is going to be another cool way, like I was saying earlier, about new characters. I think that her brother has the potential to become a great new character and be up there with Wonder Woman. Um, because I mean, it's kind of a similar type of thing with like Supergirl and Superman, that relationship. And I think having Wonder Woman with the brother, I think that's going to open up avenues for a lot of new stories and a really great character. Trying to assimilate him into the Justice League with her, with the people she already knows. I'm really, really excited for this storyline. Some other speculation we can get into. Doomsday Clock. There's going to be a panel for it coming in October from Jeff Johns where he's going to talk about some stuff. We've seen that Batman's going to read Rorschach's journal. We've seen that image. We've seen the lenticular cover that shows Rorschach's mask changing from his regular mask to an inkblot test version of the Trinity's logos. Any thoughts on Batman and the Rorschach journal?
Honestly, uh, Batman reading the Rorschach journal, it would be awesome for Batman to figure out what actually is going on because Rorschach's journal it basically simulates the story of what happened in Watchmen to a very basic degree. I'm curious to see what Batman's going to do with this story that it has finally come into the light. Um, we all do remember Rorschach was destroyed by Dr. Manhattan because he couldn't he wanted to tell the truth of what really happened, and to keep the world safe they basically had to lie about the truth. So do you think Rorschach might return somehow?
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they do with that. Whether they bring Rorschach back or not, I'm not sure. I really think I don't know where the story is going to take place. It's been said that it's not a sequel to Watchmen, so I wonder if Doctor Manhattan is going to be the only character we see. I imagine we're going to see Ozymandias once it's revealed next week that he's actually Mr. Oz, unless they've just been playing us this whole time. But Ozymandias is going to be in this story. With Doctor Manhattan, I'm curious to see if they bring back Rorschach. I mean, it's a matter of when does this story take place? Does it take place after Watchmen, or does it take place alongside Watchmen? Since Doctor Manhattan can be in multiple places at once, is this happening alongside that? It's just a matter of where this is going to be, and I imagine we're going to see some other Watchmen characters in this for sure. Whether the Justice League goes to that reality, or if they come here, or what happens with that, I imagine we're going to see other Watchmen. So let's just now get into our other weekly segment where we talk about our picks for the week. I'm going to lead in with my picks. First, my pick for the overarching story, the trade paperback, is Flashpoint. Uh, Flashpoint is just a really great story that adds so much depth to the Flash's character because he witnesses how much he messes up. And that's why I'm excited for Doomsday Clock and all this kind of stuff. Because when Flash created Flashpoint, he weakened the timeline. So therefore, all these battles and everything that are going to be happening in Doomsday Clock, I hope that the Flash feels some guilt of that, and we see that aspect of the story where like the Flash is realizing that a lot of what's happened is his fault, his selfishness for changing the timeline. My pick for the story of the week is Phasma. I'm really excited about this storyline, filling in the gaps between Episode 7 and The Last Jedi. I mean, there's not a big gap to fill there. We know that The Last Jedi takes place like the second after Luke takes the lightsaber. His first line of dialogue is supposed to be, "Who are you?" after taking the lightsaber. However, filling in what happened with Captain Phasma and maybe possibly Kylo Ren and General Hux in there too, I'm just excited to see how this ties into the grander story of Star Wars. Now I'm going to send it over to Nick for his picks.
All right, so my pick of the week actually has to be actually I will start with my comic pick of the week. I'll flip flop it. I have to pick Darth Vader because you know as a kid, I liked Anakin Skywalker, and to see him become Darth Vader, basically, I knew it was going to happen, unfortunately. But this story sheds the light of how he got his lightsaber crystal, as Mike explained earlier. But I just like the emotional feel. the 2-page spread where he just sees all his failures go right in a row. It's just cool to see what basically empowered his saber. Basically, his saber in his hand is all the failures and all his ultimate betrayals, and it's just he puts them all into his saber, which he then wields as his weapon of choice. Um, and also, Darth Vader is a very complex character. He has that good inside him, but he's trying to basically snuff it out with the dark side. Um, which also brings me to my trade pick of the week, which is sort of similar, but not really similar. But my trade pick for the week has to be called Halo Tales of Slipspace. It's a trade collecting short stories of the Halo universe. You start out with a couple stories. One story is about takes place between Halo Wars 1 and 2. Basically tells about the flood and how they got onto the Spirit of Fire and stuff. The next story after that tells about a Marine in a maroon ship in space as they get attacked by Covenant. But the third story is what I'm going to cover. The third story is probably my favorite. It tells about Blue Team. Blue Team is basically comprised of 4 Spartan 2s, which are basically there. Think of Captain America's with armor and weapons, basically. It's not actually told by Master Chief, who is usually the main character. He's been the main character in at least 4 Halos now. But it's actually told from one of his teammates named Kelly. She is a Spartan 2 along with them, and basically she tells the story of them doing just a normal mission. They go and stop rioters on a planet somewhere. But it shows Kelly tells the audience that the chief, he's acting more like a machine than anything. Without Cortana, he's turning into basically a pure soldier, and he does not stop. He keeps going and going and going. And at the end of the comic, Kelly reveals that eventually he has to break somehow, and we'll see that here coming up in Halo 6, hopefully, but can't guarantee that. I'll swing it back to Mike.
All right, so just a few points to wrap up the rest of this. We have some events coming up. We have the Potato Fest, which is Saturday, September 30th. We have the Mac Charity Con, which is Saturday, October 21st. We have the Halloween Comic Fest, which is Saturday, October 28th. Hope to see a lot of people coming to this. Get some people into the shop and to some of these other local events to support the community.
Also, any of these titles that we mentioned and any titles that are coming up in the future, please come into the shop and let us know and basically put your pre-orders for it, basically. And
all right, that's everything. We'll see you this time next week.